Tonight, new questions about the role of Elon Musk.
He's a very talented guy from the standpoint of management and costs. And we put him in charge of seeing what he can do with certain groups and certain numbers.
Musk says President Trump has signed off on shutting down USAID, which is responsible for administering humanitarian aid to more than 100 countries, from health care and food assistance to protecting refugees. This as Musk gains access to the federal government's checkbook and the personal information of tens of millions of Americans. The growing controversy over Elon Musk's role in the new administration. Plus, the tariff showdown is now on pause. President Trump planned to impose 25% tariffs on Canada and Mexico, but now it's delayed for a month. How the leaders of those countries say they'll work with the new administration to find a compromise. And it's considered America's breadbasket, supplying a quarter of the nation's food, but the immigration crackdown could hurt the ability to harvest, the impact it's already having on the workforce.
They're scared to go outside. They're asking neighbors and friends who have status to drive them back and forth because they're concerned that they may be targeted.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Linsey Davis. Thanks so much for streaming with us tonight. We are tracking those last-minute deals with our allies Mexico and Canada to temporarily avert a costly trade war that was set to begin at midnight. But we do begin with the dramatic scenes playing out in government buildings, federal workers being denied access to their desks as Elon Musk and his Doge team are making their presence felt. Musk getting access to the Treasury's payment system as the richest man in the world is taking concrete steps to eliminate a major federal agency established by Congress, USAID. The agency provides life-saving treatments across the country and around the world and has exemplified America's soft power for decades. Today, employees who showed up to work were turned away. A senior official at USAID called it a mafia-like takeover. Tonight, Democrats are calling it a constitutional crisis. Abroad contractors who work for USAID tell us they are stuck. One told ABC News they have been removed from U.S. Embassy safety and security systems. Meanwhile, Secretary of State Marco Rubio has been put temporarily in charge. The agency's chief of staff resigned just days after Trump appointed him. We're standing by to hear from a former high-up USAID employee. But first, our chief Washington correspondent, Jonathan Karl, leads us off from Washington.
Tonight, backlash after Elon Musk seized control of USAID, the agency that provides U.S. humanitarian assistance around the world, locking out employees, essentially shutting it down. It's Musk's first major move to slash government spending.
As we dug into USAID, it became apparent that what we have here is not an apple with a worm in it, but we have actually just a bowl of worms.
USAID's $43 billion budget is a tiny fraction of what the government spends, about 1%. But its support is a critical lifeline for people in need around the world, helping an estimated 32 million children suffering malnutrition and bringing food, water, shelter, and health care to victims of natural disasters. But Musk, the world's richest man, says the agency is hopeless, posting on X, quote, "We spent the weekend feeding USAID into the wood chipper." This comes as sources tell ABC News Musk's team at the Department of Government Efficiency, known as Doge, now has access to the Treasury Department's payment system. This is essentially the government's checkbook. It processes trillions of dollars in payments and includes the personal information of hundreds of millions of Americans.
Mr. President, why is it important for Elon Musk to have access to the payment systems at Treasury?
Well, he's got access only to letting people go that he thinks are no good if we agree with him, and it's only if we agree with him. He's a very talented guy from the standpoint of management and costs.
Democrats are outraged.
An unelected, unaccountable billionaire with expansive conflicts of interest, deep ties to China, and an indiscreet axe to grind against perceived enemies is hijacking our nation's most sensitive financial data systems and its checkbook.
But Elon Musk's influence is sweeping throughout the administration. It was late last week that the Doge team showed up at USAID offices in Washington and demanded access. USAID employee Christina Dry described the scene.
Doge was in the building. We took down our pride flags. I took out any books I felt would be incriminating. No one was talking talking. We heard they started taking transcripts automatically of all of our Google Meets. They unplugged the news in the little kitchen galleys. It didn't feel good. And then Saturday, all of the websites went down, and then I lost complete access to my computer.
And this morning, all the agency's employees received a notice telling them not to come to work today. Now, what is left of USAID is going to be folded into the State Department under the direction of the new Secretary of State, Marco Rubio.
John Carl joins us now from Washington. And John, Elon Musk is classified as a special government employee. Tell us exactly what that means.
Linsey, it's basically a temporary government employee. A special government employee is somebody working for the federal government for a maximum of 130 days. As a temporary employee, they're not bound by the same ethics requirements as full-time government workers. Now, Musk is not taking a paycheck for his work at Doge, but his companies, mostly SpaceX, have taken in nearly $19 billion in federal contracts over the last 10 years.
And John, staying on this for a moment, to be clear, do we know what sort of power Elon Musk has over the Treasury payments and if this is even allowed?
Well, huge question whether it's allowed. You know, it was resisted by senior officials at the Treasury Department, including one senior official who was then put on leave. He's no longer on the job after saying that he didn't believe Musk or anybody outside the Treasury Department should have access to this system. What powers? Right now, we're told as of this minute that he hasn't used he hasn't attempted to stop any of those payments. It's merely access to see what's coming into that system, out of that system, access to the information, but he hasn't used it to actually stop any payments that come through the Treasury Department's payment system.
All right, Jonathan Karl from our nation's capital. Thanks so much, John.
Thanks.
Joining us now for more is the president of Refugees International and former lead official at USAID for COVID-19, Jeremy Konyndyk. Thank you so much for your time, sir. You also were the director of USAID's Office of Foreign Disaster Assistance under President Obama. A former USAID employee told ABC News people are going to die because of how they're doing this. Your response to what many are calling the hostile takeover of USAID?
I think that's an accurate way to characterize it. USAID every day saves lives around the world on behalf of the American people, whether that is in disaster zones, deploying teams after earthquakes to pull people from the rubble, fighting famine right now in Sudan, providing urgent medical care amidst the ceasefire in Gaza, and also longer-term work through the Global Health Bureau, things like keeping 20 million people who have HIV on antiretroviral drugs to keep their infection suppressed so they can live their lives. You know, these are the critical things that USAID does all around the world every day. All of those are now badly disrupted. All of those are now at risk.
Now, we might be here for a while if you listed off all the important work USAID has done around the world. 25 million lives saved from HIV, beating Ebola, expanding child literacy. What are you hearing tonight from former colleagues who made helping others with the backing of our government their life's work?
Well, they feel abused. They feel betrayed. There are staff who are deployed on disaster and humanitarian responses around the world on behalf of the U.S. government, who tonight and last night, with no preamble, no warning, and no communication, were kicked off their email, kicked off their U.S. government computer systems. They don't know if they are still government employees. They are now in disaster zones and crisis zones, unsure whether they are still even under embassy protection. It's incredibly, incredibly dangerous, and it is incredibly disrespectful to people who have gone into dangerous places to serve their country.
Talk about the soft power America has been able to wield through USAID.
It is human rights work, supporting human rights defenders, supporting democracy activists. You know, it really runs the gamut of everything from health and disaster relief to long-term economic development. It's also a really critical way that the U.S. just shows up in the world vis-a-vis some of our geopolitical rivals. So one of the things that I'm very worried about is the ways in which rivals of the United States will take advantage of the vacuum left if USAID is pulled from the field.
Why do you think the Trump administration is specifically targeting USAID? Its $50 billion budget, after all, is really a small fraction of the overall government expenditures.
Well, it is certainly not about saving money. The USAID budget is less than 1% of the federal budget. That is a rounding error relative to the size of our deficit. It's far less than the tax cuts that Trump passed in his first term. I suspect what it is a soft target. They assume not too many people are going to stand up for foreign aid. It's an easy thing to caricature and demonize. And the playbook that they are running here at USAID, which is a playbook by which an unelected private citizen with cover from the president can go in and just destroy an independent federal agency without any sort of congressional oversight and without any sort of restraints from the law. That is a really, really dangerous playbook. And I think they're assuming that if they can get away with it at USAID, they can export that model elsewhere.
I understand Refugees International does not receive money directly from USAID, but if this funding pause continues, is it even possible for organizations like yours to pick up the slack?
Well, I think if this goes forward, it really is an extinction level event for the global aid sector in the United States and really for much of the global relief and development sector around the world. The U.S. is the largest single development donor, the largest single humanitarian donor. And if that goes away, there's no way that others can fill that gap. But it will also destabilize the budgets of many of the largest aid organizations and UN organizations around the world. So, it threatens really the collapse, not just of what USAID does, but of this huge ecosystem of relief and development organizations that are doing good around the world every day.
Jeremy Konyndyk, we thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
For the final word tonight on how Elon Musk and the Trump administration are reshaping the federal government, White House correspondent Mary Alice Parks joins us now. And Mary Alice, bottom line, do we know if what Elon Musk is doing is legal?
Look, no one voted for Elon Musk. That was the line we heard from Democrats throughout the day. They made the argument, too, that USAID was a congressionally funded, congressionally mandated independent agency, or at least that it was. We heard this announcement from the Trump administration that they want to absorb USAID under the State Department. But remember, that announcement came after hundreds of USAID employees were locked out of their computer systems, told not to come to work, contractors and partners around the globe locked out of systems. And it was only a few hours ago that the White House even confirmed Elon Musk's specific role in the government, his basically employment status with the federal government. So I think there are real serious legal questions that Democrats are raising about whether Musk has any authority to be essentially firing people and whether his team is trying to basically break agencies and then challenge people to come to court later.
And do you think that this might be a blueprint going forward for how other agencies or entire departments may be eliminated?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I talked to a number of federal employees from agencies well beyond USAID who are very worried about this, who spent the weekend essentially trying to get their paperwork in order, not sure if there would be a moment where they would also be locked out of their computer systems, their emails. I mean, these are agencies that have long-standing rules and regulations around who has firing authority, HR departments, union contracts. But it seems to be that Elon Musk and his team is bypassing all of that, like I said, sort of taking a wrecking ball to the federal government and asking people to challenge them, sort of daring people to challenge them after the fact. And Linsey, if I might, I think it's going to be very interesting when it comes to USAID to see what Republicans on Capitol Hill do, like what they do in the next few days. Because while Elon Musk and President Trump talked about this agency as leftists and full of leftist Marxists, the reality is there are some very conservative, large Christian organizations. I'm thinking of groups like Save the Children, the Catholic Relief Services, World Vision, who do work all across the world, have thousands of employees, who touch the lives of millions of children, and who frankly rely on millions of dollars from USAID. Linsey.
You're right. It'll be interesting to see if we hear from them. All right. Mary Alice Parks, our thanks to you. Now to the temporary reprieve to that tariff war with two of our closest allies. President Trump put those 25% tariffs on hold after phone calls today with Canada's prime minister and Mexico's president. What did both countries agree to? Our Rachel Scott reports.
Tonight, after feverish last-minute talks, a truce in the looming trade war. Late tonight, after two phone calls with Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, President Trump announcing the hefty 25% tariffs he threatened are now on pause, just hours before they were scheduled to go into effect. It came after a morning call with the president of Mexico when Trump agreed to pause tariffs on that country's goods as well for 30 days. Trump's threats had sent markets tumbling overnight and into the morning as economists warned the tariffs would send prices soaring for American consumers on everything from groceries to cars to electronics.
I'm not concerned. We may have short-term a little pain, and people understand that. But long-term, the United States has been ripped off by virtually every country in the world.
Both countries had vowed to retaliate. In Canada, American sports teams booed during the national anthem. Canadian liquor stores taking American whiskey off the shelves. The Wall Street Journal editorial page calling it, quote, the dumbest trade war in history. Overnight, Dow futures down hundreds of points.
Thank you, guys. I don't know. Thank you, guys. How is the market doing?
Thank you, guys. Thank you, guys. Thank you, guys. Let's go.
I did? I don't know. I don't think about it.
Hours earlier, Trump cut that deal with Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum. Mexico will now send 10,000 troops to the border to help tackle illegal immigration and to prevent fentanyl from flowing into the U.S.
Did you blink this morning?
There was no blinking. No, she's a wonderful woman, but she did agree to 10,000 soldiers on the border. I would say that's a lot. Would you say that's pretty good?
Negotiations with Canada took a little longer.
Canada is very tough. They're very, very tough to do business with.
But tonight, Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau saying they have reached an agreement that in addition to Canada implementing its existing $1.3 billion border plan, Canada will appoint a new fentanyl czar, list cartels as terrorists, and launch a Canada-U.S. joint strike force to combat organized crime, fentanyl, and money laundering.
Rachel Scott joins us now from the White House. And Rachel, some tariffs are still set to go into effect, though. Tell us more about what you know about that.
Exactly, Lindsay. So President Donald Trump, he is still pushing forward with tariffs on China. Those are set to go into effect tonight at midnight. They have not been paused. You'll see a 10% tariff on all imports. But as for those tariffs, when it comes to Mexico and Canada, the president tonight emphasizing this pause is only temporary, Lindsay.
All right, Rachel Scott, our thanks to you. New developments tonight in those back-to-back deadly plane crashes. The chilling image here of the fuselage of that American Airlines plane being pulled from the Potomac. Meanwhile, in Philadelphia, the black box from that medical transport jet was found inside a crater 8 feet deep. 7 people were killed there, and among the injured, a boy with metal from the plane lodged in his head. ABC's Gio Benitez covers aviation for us.
Tonight, the extraordinary scene, the fuselage of that American Airlines flight pulled out of the Potomac River, the cabin in shreds, the crash with that Black Hawk killing 67 people. So far, 55 of their bodies have been identified. The medical examiner now working to identify additional remains recovered today.
It is my belief that we're going to recover everyone.
Dozens of the victims' families gathering yesterday for a solemn memorial on the runway at Reagan National Airport. Now tonight, the question, was there a discrepancy in the tower radar seen by air traffic control, which may have shown the helicopter at 200 feet?
Initial data indicates that he may have seen 200 feet. That needs to be verified.
200 and below is where the helicopter should have been, but some of the most trusted location data shows the crash happening at just over 300 feet. The NTSB also evaluating the jet's flight data and cockpit voice recorders. And overnight in Philadelphia, investigators locating the black box of the medical transport jet that plunged to the ground, killing 7. The voice recorder found 8 feet deep inside that crater.
If you look at the impact and how deep that crater is, it was a very steep angle at which that aircraft came down.
Data from Flight Radar 24 shows the Medevac Learjet en route to Mexico was in the air for under a minute before the crash. All 6 people on board that jet killed, including a mom and her 11-year-old daughter who had just received medical care at nearby Shriners Children's Hospital. Another killed in a car on the ground. At least 24 people injured, among them 10-year-old Trey Howard, his father describing the harrowing scene to our Stephanie Ramos.
We're turning to Cottman Avenue and you just hear a loud bang and then a ball of fire. I turn around, he has metal out the side of his head.
Trey then rushed to the hospital where he underwent emergency brain surgery. He's now in recovery.
Glad to hear he is recovering at this hour. Gio joins us now. Gio, what comes next in both of these investigations?
Well, Linsey, the NTSB is obviously now working on building out a timeline, a detailed timeline for both of these crashes, because there are still so many questions. And that timeline is really going to tell us, hopefully, exactly what went wrong. That is the goal here. And this investigation, it could take a long time. Don't expect answers tomorrow or the next day. This could really last all year long until we find out exactly what happened here. Linsey.
So important to find out what happened. All right, Gio, our thanks to you. The first group of service members are now at Guantanamo Bay. 300 Marines arrived at the U.S. Naval Station, where as many as 30,000 migrants are expected to be held. U.S. Southern Command says a total of 500 Marines will be deployed to the former prison for terrorism suspects to support immigrant detention operations there. Nearly 350,000 Venezuelans who gained relief from deportation and obtained work permits in 2023 under temporary protected status will lose those protections in April. In her decision, Department of Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem acknowledged that some of the conditions in Venezuela that the Biden administration used to justify TPS designation in 2023 may continue. However, she stated things have gotten better in the country. Newly released images show a daring rescue of a driver who plunged 100 feet off of Highway 101 along the Oregon coast. Cannon Beach firefighters rappelled down a cliff to secure the car and used ropes to pull the driver to safety. The driver survived and was treated for mild injuries. Still much more to get to here on Prime tonight. What happened when a murder victim's family tried to get their own revenge inside the courtroom? That's coming up. But next in our Prime Focus, our Melissa Dunn heads to America's breadbasket. As immigration raids sweep the country, who will work the farmland?
No es fácil el vivir con el miedo cuando nosotros somos los que te estamos llevando todo a la mesa. No es fácil. No es fácil porque yo en un principio he dicho que no muerdas la mano que te da de comer. No la muerdas.
People do not know how to date. That's why they come to us.
As a matchmaker, we're here to help you get your wings on.
Let's get some people married. Why are you single?
Maybe the kind of guys that I go for.
You go for hot guys.
Yeah.
It's a pitfall.
What would you say are like the top things you're looking for?
You don't like hairy men, so all Muslims are out. What are you talking about?
This process doesn't have to suck. He's cute.
Make it happen, boo.
This family is suffocated. We are all here to help them. We're gonna make this happen. We have 96 hours to build a house.
Come on, guys, it's moving day. Let's go. It can't be real.
This was more than just extreme home makeover. This was extreme life makeover.
Extreme Makeover Home Edition, Thursday on ABC and stream on Hulu.
The Kardashians are here!
What have you been up to?
What haven't we been up to?
We're going to Vegas.
This is my 40th birthday.
Kim and Chloe take India. That Monday.
I feel like Cinderella at the ball.
Corey! Here, I make a hole in his closet.
You must really like him.
Such a stage mom. Where do you think she learned it?
I'm Kris Jenner.
Oh my God, I'm Kris Jenner.
It was a kidnapping, torture case.
A crime of greed and cruelty.
The men tortured the victim by beating, tasing, and burning him.
And this is where it gets really horrible. The guy was cutting off my roommates. It was like a bad dream.
This crime was horrific.
He's a psychopath.
How could you possibly defend somebody like that?
This was a story about greed, sadism, evil.
Wicked Game, Devil in the Desert, only on Hulu.
All we want is to find our way home.
I'll get you home. Got a crew of murderous bounty hunters. He's coming after us. We have to move fast.
We have no idea who he is.
You can trust me.
You're a Jedi, right?
Of course.
What just happened?
Watch this.
Skeleton Crew, new episodes Tuesdays, only on Disney+.
Isabella Strahan.
It's been rough, it's been challenging, and it's been very hard, but I know I'll get through it.
Life Interrupted.
The first thing that went through my mind was, this must be a mistake.
You don't really think the worst until you get told the worst. I'm not gonna cry.
love and that support really helped her pull through. I'm very proud of her.
The Powerful Special, Wednesday night on ABC.
Welcome back. They are essential workers, and rain or shine, migrant farm workers show up to make sure all Americans have food on the table. But more than 40% of these workers have no work authorization. And as ICE raids ramp up, those same workers who showed up even during a global pandemic, they're now afraid of going to work and possibly being deported. Our Melissa Dunn reports from California, where advocates are warning, don't bite the hand that feeds you.
California's Central Valley supplies a quarter of the nation's food, considered America's breadbasket, producing 40% of the country's fruits, nuts, and other table foods. But a chilling effect is spreading through these farms, as roughly half of California's farm workers are undocumented. They've also seen the images of immigration and customs enforcement raids across the country, part of President Donald Trump's administration plan to fast-track mass deportation. In California's Central Valley, concern sparked after the U.S. Border Patrol's mid-January raid in Kern County, dubbed Operation Return to Sender. El Centro Border Patrol Chief Gregory Bovino touted the operation on his X account, noting not all of those arrested had criminal records. Whether in 1965 during the Delano grape strike or today in 2025, farm workers continue fighting for a seat at the table they provide for. Immigrant rights groups say fear is trickling through undocumented workers.
What do you think is the collateral damage of all of these ICE enforcements across the country?
You have families that are being ripped apart. You have community members that are living in fear. They're scared to go outside. They're asking neighbors and friends who have status to drive them back and forth because they're concerned that they may be targeted.
These raids prompting immigrants to stay at home, which could impact the harvesting of produce and other goods.
No es fácil el vivir con el miedo cuando nosotros somos los que te estamos llevando toda la mesa. No es fácil. No es fácil porque yo en un principio he dicho que no muerdas la mano que te da de comer.
Wow.
No la muerdas.
How do you feel? ¿Cómo te sientes?
For 16 years, farm worker Xochitl Nunez has worked in the fields of Central Valley farms. Xochitl says she loves the feeling of the soil, the smell, and la libertad, the freedom of the fields. She says the people here are family.
Para nosotros estar a las 6 de la mañana en un trabajo que nos lleva hasta 1 hora de camino. Y lo hacemos con gusto, con el corazón. No nos molesta levantarnos tan temprano, no nos molesta cortarnos tan tarde, porque queremos la tierra. Ahorita la gente, si tiene miedo que si va a salir, no va a regresar la gente. Entonces, es terror. Ya no es ni siquiera miedo. Es terror lo que siente la gente, que si se asoma afuera a la calle al trabajo, va a llegar migración afuera a los campos.
Xochitl worries if more farm workers stay home in fear of deportation, or if farm workers are deported, America may financially feel the impacts of produce prices increasing due to a labor shortage.
¿Te imaginas que hay gente que tiene aquí más de 35 años trabajando, pagando impuestos y no tiene derecho a un permiso de trabajo? Y ellos no descansan ni en invierno, porque ¿de dónde van a agarrar dinero para pagar su renta, para pagar sus biles, para pagar sus medicinas? Ellos tienen que salir todos los días. Debemos de ser empáticas con esa gente, porque esa gente que no descansa es por la gente que no cae la economía.
United Farm Workers Foundation tells ABC News the fear is real and fear causes real harm, but they cannot afford to miss work, and it is peak harvest season for citrus.
If those workers are scared to go into work, they're scared to take their children to school, not only is it a detriment to our community, it's a detriment to our economy as a whole, and we can expect grocery prices and costs of living to continue to rise astronomically.
You know, we got a little bit of everything. Oranges, snacks, rice, beans, cilantro.
Some immigrant families are fearful to leave home, even to get groceries, which is why food drives like this one in Fresno are popping up.
For the next 6 weeks, we're going to be feeding farm workers every single day.
Does it strike you as ironic that farm workers who work and feeding America are lacking food?
Yeah, it's very ironic that, we're feeding those that feed the nation because they're very food insecure.
Let us play that one for you one more time.
We're feeding those that feed the nation because they're very food insecure.
Here in Kern County, rapid response groups are teaming up with attorneys like Ana Alicia Huerta, who says people have rights regardless of their status.
If you're arrested, don't sign anything, ask to speak to an attorney.
Ana Alicia says this is not the first time her community has had to fight for their humanity.
The most dangerous weapon in the world is an educated Chicana.
Central Valley is home to famed labor organizers and civil rights leaders.
The workers are suffering. We're getting the short end of the deal.
Like Cesar Chavez and Ana Alicia's own grandmother, Dolores Huerta.
Well, I think that they look good for the United Farm Workers to win this election.
Here we are with schools named in honor of the farm worker movement and of Caesar. And you have the sons and daughters of farm workers coming here, educating themselves.
3 generations later, their grandchildren carrying on the legacy.
I think back to the work of the farm worker movement, my Tata Caesar, and it's like, if there's anything this last week has showed us, it's going to be a long 4 years. And so folks like myself and groups like ourselves are having to prepare for this long-term fight. I think back to my Tata Caesar's words, and he'd always say, you only lose when you give up.
Toda esta chiquita no se pizca.
Losing is something Xochitl refuses to accept. As she looks out onto the field, even amid the fear, she feels hopeful for America's future.
Yo sé que tienen miedo salir, pero si no salimos, ¿a dónde vamos? Tenemos que empoderar a nuestros hijos que sigan estudiando, que sigan adelante. Y nosotros, así tengamos miedo de salir, tenemos que seguir saliendo a trabajar. Va a haber muchas ayudas por donde quiera y las vamos a estar llevando, si se puede, hasta sus casas, para que no sigan teniendo miedo.
So many trying to eliminate that fear. Our thanks to Melissa and Don. Still much more to get to coming up. Preparations are underway for the Super Bowl in New Orleans this weekend. The security measures the city is taking to receive thousands of football fans in just a few days. But next, the biggest night in music. We take a look at the winners and other surprises from last night's Grammy Awards by the numbers.
The Kardashians are here!
What have you been up to?
What haven't we been up to?
We're going to Vegas.
This is my 40th birthday.
Kim and Chloe take India.
Monday. I feel like Cinderella at the ball.
Corey! Here, I make a hole in his closet. You must really like him.
Such a stage mom.
Where do you think she learned it?
I'm Kris Jenner.
Oh my God, I'm Kris Jenner.
The news never stops.
From Tampa, we are here tonight as Hurricane Milton has just made landfall.
The surge just keeps coming up.
Right on the border between Ukraine and Russia. We're in artillery position about 2 miles away from Gaza.
And ABC News Live is right there everywhere.
We're not far from where this rally took place, so just stick with us here.
Traveling with the president to the U.S.-Mexico border.
Here in London today,
Off the coast of Gaza.
Downtown Tel Aviv, rockets or missiles coming in. From the most devastating disaster in Hawaii. Some areas are still smoldering.
Wherever the story.
From the front lines, the ruins of Rafah. From the FBI.
reporting from Capitol Hill.
In western Portugal.
Outside of Mexico City.
In Iceland. Let's go.
Here in France.
The eclipse across America.
Just stunning.
Unbelievable.
Streaming live to you.
Wherever the story is.
Wherever the story is.
We're going to take you there.
You're streaming.
ABC News Live.
ABC News Live.
You're streaming ABC News Live.
ABC News Live. Streaming free everywhere because the news never stops.
People do not know how to date. That's why they come to us.
As a matchmaker, we're here to help you get your wings on.
Let's get some people married. Why are you single? Maybe the kind of guys that I go for. You go for hot guys.
Yeah.
It's a pitfall.
What would you say are like the top things you're looking for?
You don't like hairy men, so all Muslims are out. What are you talking about?
This process doesn't have to suck. He's cute.
Make it happen, boo.
Mr. President.
You were the last person to see the president alive.
He was trying to warn me.
Agent Collins, you're the only one I really trust. And I want to tell you the truth.
You're about to be entrusted with top secret information.
The president did something.
You're gonna want to hear this.
The biggest secret is right under your nose.
What aren't you telling me?
All we want is to find our way home.
I'll get you home. But a crew of murderous bounty hunters is coming after us. We have to move fast.
We have no idea who he is.
You can trust me.
You're a Jedi, right?
Of course.
What just happened?
Watch this.
Skeleton Crew. New episodes Tuesdays, only on Disney+.
The news never stops. We are here in Israel, a nation at war.
Hurricane Helene screaming across the state.
And that's why ABC News Live never stops.
Taking you to the center of the story. As news breaks live.
ABC News Live is there for you all morning live. Right there. As events unfold across the day.
Breaking down the day's top stories. ABC News Live Prime going there, wherever the story is.
And ABC News Live lighting up the weekend.
ABC News Live.
Because the news never stops.
I'm Rachel Scott reporting from President Trump's inaugural parade. Wherever the story is, we'll take you there. You're streaming ABC News Live.
Welcome back, everyone. It's the most anticipated night in music, and it did not disappoint. We are taking a look at the big winners and surprising snubs from the 67th Annual Grammy Awards by the numbers. Let's start with the buzz of the night. Superstar Beyonce received her first Album of the Year award for Cowboy Carter after losing 4 previous times. That makes her the first black woman this century and just the 4th in the show's history to take home the category. But Bey made history twice last night. She also became the first black artist to win Best Country Album. Beyonce walked away with 3 wins out of 11 nominations. If you're keeping count, that's 35 career Grammy wins for Queen Bee, the most for any artist ever. The other big winner of the night, Kendrick Lamar, who walked away with 5 Grammys, the most of the night, including both Song and Record of the Year for his hit diss track, Not Like Us. Breakout star Doechii won her first Grammy with Best Rap Album for Alligator Bites Never Heal. She is just the 3rd woman to ever win the category. Doechii was among those in the highly competitive Best New Artist category. The award ended up going to Chappell Roan, capping her mega year with her first Grammy win. And while she didn't win Best New Artist, Sabrina Carpenter walked away with her first 2 Grammys, including for Best Pop Vocal Album. For every winner, someone has to not win. Major stars like Post Malone, Billie Eilish, and Taylor Swift all went home empty-handed. But of course, it is an absolute honor just to be nominated. And we still have much more ahead here on Prime tonight. It's a legal fight that has grabbed national headlines. What a New York judge said to the lawyers of former co-stars Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni about their public back and forth. And more hilarious and more honest than ever, Netflix's hit show Mo is back for a final dance, blending identity, immigration, and heart for a season to remember. Our conversation with the creator and star Mo himself is next.
The news never stops.
From Tampa, we are here tonight as Hurricane Milton has just made landfall.
The surge just keeps coming up.
Right on the border between Ukraine and Russia. We're in artillery position about 2 miles away from Gaza.
And ABC News Live is right there everywhere.
We're not far from where this rally took place, so just stick with us here.
Traveling with the president to the U.S.-Mexico border.
Here in London today.
Off the coast of Gaza.
Downtown Tel Aviv, rockets or missiles coming in from the most devastating disaster in Hawaii. Some areas are still smoldering.
Wherever the story.
From the front lines, the ruins of Rafah. From the FBI.
Reporting from Capitol Hill.
In western Portugal.
Outside of Mexico City.
In Iceland.
Let's go.
Here in France.
The eclipse across America.
Just stunning.
Unbelievable.
Streaming live to you.
Wherever the story is.
Wherever the story is.
We're going to take you there. You're streaming.
ABC News Live.
ABC News Live.
You're streaming ABC News Live.
ABC News Live. Streaming free everywhere because the news never stops.
Freeze Morgan Guillory Major Crimes.
Where did you get this?
Check out at the dollar store. You hired me because I notice things that you miss.
Let's solve this case.
Bingo. Our killer's name is Dubois.
Did you just Google who's the killer on your phone, Morgan?
No, I did not do that.
This family is suffocated. We are all here to help them.
We're going to make this happen.
We have 96 hours to build a house.
Come on, guys, it's moving day. Let's go. It can't be real.
This was more than just extreme home makeover. This was extreme life makeover.
Extreme Makeover Home Edition, Thursday on ABC and stream on Hulu.
It was a kidnapping, torture case.
A crime of greed and cruelty.
The men tortured the victim by beating, tasing, and burning him.
And this is where it gets really horrible. The guy was cutting off my roommates. It was like a bad dream.
This crime was horrific.
He's a psychopath.
How could you possibly defend somebody like that? This was a story about greed, sadism, evil.
Wicked Game, Devil in the Desert, only on Hulu.
The Kardashians are here!
What have you been up to?
What haven't we been up to?
We're going to Vegas.
This is my 40th birthday.
Kim and Chloe take India.
That Monday.
I feel like Cinderella at the ball.
Here, I make a hole in his closet.
You must really like him.
Such a stage mom. Where do you think she learned it?
I'm Kris Jenner.
Oh my God, I'm Kris Jenner.
Lawyers for Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni square off in a courtroom for the first time. A brawl breaks out in a courtroom in New Mexico and a chairlift ride that went very wrong. These stories and more in tonight's rundown.
Attorneys for Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni met in court today for the first time. Lively's accusing Baldoni of damaging her reputation for reporting him for sexual harassment on the set of the movie It Ends With Us. In return, Baldoni's suing her for defamation. Lively's team said it would move to dismiss Baldoni's complaint and file an amended complaint of their own, while Baldoni's team requested Lively's deposition as soon as possible. On the second anniversary of the major train derailment in East Palestine, Ohio, a newly filed lawsuit claims that people died because of it. The suit includes 7 wrongful death claims against Norfolk Southern Railroad. It claims the railroad and its contractors botched the cleanup from the aftermath, and that the EPA and CDC did not adequately respond. Vice President J.D. Vance visited the community, which he used to represent as a senator, for the anniversary.
We are committed not just to finishing the environmental side of the cleanup, but hopefully seeing East Palestine build back better and stronger and more prosperous than it was before this disaster happened in the first place.
The Associated Press reports that Norfolk Southern and the agencies have not commented on the litigation. A courtroom camera in New Mexico shows a pretrial hearing for a murder suspect descend into a brawl. The video shows Carlos Lucero and Pete Yasasi jumping over the gate and then rushing and punching Alexander Ortiz, who was arrested in the killing of his ex-girlfriend. An officer trying to protect Ortiz was also assaulted. Lucero told officers that Ortiz had killed his niece. The attackers were taken to a hospital and charged with 2 felonies. The FDA has cleared the way for a xenotransplantation clinical trial. United Therapeutics says it will soon start trials for transplanting kidneys from gene-edited pigs into people. The announcement comes after a major pig kidney transplant was performed for Tawana Looney in New York City, a procedure covered exclusively by ABC News. Looney is now the world's longest-living animal-to-human transplant patient. Officials in New Hampshire are looking into why a chair fell off a ski lift at Attitash Mountain. The chair, carrying 1 skier, dislodged from the Flying Bear lift and fell about 20 feet on Sunday. The state fire marshal said a preliminary investigation indicated a mechanical failure was to blame, and that the man who fell was taken to a hospital and eventually released. Department of Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem was in New Orleans today as the city and the NFL prepare to host Super Bowl 59, just over a month after the deadly Bourbon Street vehicular attack that killed 14 people. Noem said there were no specific credible threats to the game, which will be secured by more than 2,700 law enforcement officers and be declared a no-drone zone.
This Black History Month, we're marking a historic decision that's changed everything for those in need of kidney transplants. For decades, a race-based method was used to access kidney function, placing Black patients lower on the transplant list. Its reversal has saved countless lives. Tonight, we meet one woman who otherwise may not be alive today.
And I'm not going to put your business. We are at Temple University. I'm a PhD student here at Temple, and I received a teaching assistantship. I got the Stephen Colvin Award in 2019. I majored in Pan-African Studies, and I really just fell in love with understanding like a lot of this knowledge that I wasn't necessarily getting, and I also wanted to be able to get as much knowledge as I could so that I could give it back to communities that I felt like truly needed it. In 2012, I was a senior in high school, and my primary care doctor saw that I had protein in my urine, and that is a silent symptom of kidney disease. In 2019, my GFR, the filtration rate that your kidneys are doing, or like how well your kidneys are like filtering waste out of your blood system, was below 15%. So that means that I was officially within kidney failure. And so that was the trigger for me to go through not only training for dialysis, but also to be evaluated to be on the kidney transplant list.
The kidney wait times, specifically in Philadelphia area, can be anywhere from 6 to 8 years. There are probably close to, on an average, 100,000 patients waiting on the kidney wait list. Every day, 13 to 16 patients die on the wait list to waiting for a kidney, and they don't make it.
We have a long history in this country of actually biases against certain transplant candidates, in particular African Americans. Because of the way that we calculate how bad the kidney function is, African Americans were pushed to the bottom of the transplant list.
Hi, how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Long time no see.
There was a study back in the 1990s, and because of some flawed assumptions from those results, a formula was widespread, which was applied throughout laboratory reporting systems all over the country, which included race as a variable, as one of the factors to calculate kidney function, suggesting that across the board, Black patients had slightly better kidney function.
So if you were going to take someone who's 60-year-old white patient versus a 60-year-old African-American patient, and they were identical, the kidney function for the 60-year-old white patient would look a little lower than the Black patient.
I was outraged because I instantly thought, how the hell could something like this happen for so long? And even with my research, I knew that there was a legacy of racism and racial bias like within the medical system, but then having to reconcile that with my own experience, it was really a sobering moment.
I don't have it, I'm not gonna lie. I'm struggling today.
No one in my family has kidney disease. None of my friends have really come into contact with this, so I felt isolated a lot of times. But really going on TikTok and sharing my story and being able to find other people who were also going through kidney failure, but also living their lives and not letting it define them, not letting that stop them or their quality of life, it was really empowering and encouraging for me.
Oh, if I were you, I would just focus on my illness. I wouldn't focus on anything else. Okay, babe. That's you, that's not me.
It came under scrutiny just in the past number of years, leading to an even better and fortunately race-neutral formula, which eliminated the effect of pulling Black patients out and suggesting that they are somehow different than everybody else of any other race.
One day in April of 2023, I'm coming home from a very long day of teaching, and I get this letter in the mail from UNOS, the United Network of Organ Sharing.
My original wait time started April of 2019. With the new calculation for Black Americans, my start date would have started 2015.
all of the Black American patients, their scores were being reassessed. And for me, I actually ended up getting 3.5 years added to my waiting time because I should have been on the transplant list in 2015 as opposed to 2019. On July 3rd, it was a Monday, I was literally cooking dinner. I already had the number saved in my phone as "your kidney is calling" in like all capital letters. And so I just see that flashing on my phone while I'm cooking dinner, and they said, come to the hospital like ASAP.
So I got the call, it's time, I'm in the hospital getting ready for my transplant.
I cried. We were bawling. We were on the phone bawling. I was like, I knew what happened, thank God. Like, blah, blah, blah. So it was fantastic to hear. We were really excited about it. That kidney has been working perfect. Me and my new little kidney, we are getting along just fine. We're gonna go to the sculpture garden, and it's a brunch. And we've been able to see each other more often now because she doesn't have to bring all her machinery or anything like that with her, which has been fantastic.
So what kind of gift are you gonna get her?
I can't give her a kidney. I can't give her a kidney. I don't know. We're gonna have to go on a trip.
So you'll be coming sometime to see us again.
Okay. I've known people even growing up that has dealt with kidney disease that has passed away while either on dialysis or waiting for an organ transplant. I grieved for them because what if they were able to be tested with the normal GFR score and not the eGFR score? I wonder how many lives would have been impacted, how many people would still be here today.
What a staggering figure. Our thanks to Jasmine for sharing her story. Time tonight for the latest in our series, Streamlined, where we bring you some of the biggest films and TV series hitting screens worldwide, speaking with some of the actors and creators behind them. Authentic, honest, and of course, lots of humor. Netflix's acclaimed series Mo returns with more honesty than ever. Now in its second and final season, Mo Amer, the Palestinian Texan comedian behind the series, finds a fresh way to blend humor with the complexities of identity, survival, and family through cultural clashes, love, and the fight for U.S. citizenship as he navigates life as a refugee. Let's take a look.
Where's your passport? I don't have a passport. Exactly. Next. No next. The Spider-Man. Wait. Okay, look, I got an asylum hearing coming up in Houston that I've been waiting for 22 years. And if I get that asylum granted, I can eventually get a passport.
Mo joins us now. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me.
So, season 2 already so well received. What do you think it is about this show that's resonating with viewers?
I think it's the fact that, you know, we're doing things that you've never seen in American film or television. Specifically, like you've never seen an asylee immigration experience, especially from a comedic or a Palestinian perspective before. Texas on top of that. I mean, like, there's a lot of things that we show in the show that you've never seen before. We go inside of a detention center in episode 2. We talk about the border crossings, you know, the complexities of the asylee process, immigration process. And I know it's like, are you sure this is a comedy at this point? I swear to you, it is a comedy, but surely it does tug on your heartstrings.
A Texan who's also Palestinian, who's on his way to U.S. citizenship. And that's what I was going to say, actually, because the topics are really heavy. And what people are dealing with every day right now. How are you able to kind of do that delicate dance and make it funny?
Well, it is my life, right? It is something that I experience firsthand, and comedy is what always takes the air out. You know, it's definitely a pressure cooker of a situation, being in the asylum process and the uncertainty of what's going to happen, and that alone creates a lot of comedic scenarios.
Did the circumstances, though, ever make you shy away from hitting on something that might seem too insensitive, perhaps?
Yeah. I mean, sensitive, not sensitive. I don't really think that way. I really more think about, is this true with the characters?
Sure.
Is this true
Okay.
for the experience? Is this grounded? Is this real? Or are we just trying to play a trope? I mean, in some cases, I wrote a scene where, you know, we thought it was going to be a comedic scene, like when our, you know, Mo in the series gets his ankle monitor after being deported. And that was supposed to be a funny moment. It was supposed to be a comedic scene. And the moment that I had the actual ankle monitor on, although it was like a prop, it felt suffocating. And I became really emotional. I mean, I became really like overwhelmed and anxiety-ridden. I was like, oh my God, this is not a comedic scene at all, actually. This is a very serious moment where the character needs to own his own mistakes and to convey to the audience that it is suffocating. So it really is, you know, scene to scene. Sometimes you can plan for it as much as you can, and you think it's going to be comedic, but in fact, it's, you know, the emotion is very different.
This is the last chapter for Mo. What does it mean to...
Well, not for me. I'm Mo. This is not the last chapter for Mo. But for that Mo,
yes.
Maybe. Yeah, yes. It looks like it.
The final season.
Yes.
At least. What is it like to kind of close that chapter?
Yeah, I'm extremely proud what we're able to accomplish in this second season. The whole series itself, but especially with, you know, making this particular second season with everything that's going on in the background was excruciating. It was nothing short of excruciating. You know, recreating actual moments from my life and knowing how much, you know, this means and how many people will gravitate to these scenes and having these symbols. I'm extremely proud of it. Extremely proud of it, and I believe that it has resonated quite well with audiences everywhere.
For sure it has.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for coming by.
Thank you so much for having me.
Want our viewers to know that season 2 of Mo is now available to watch on Netflix. And that is our show for this hour. I'm Linsey Davis. Be sure to stay tuned to ABC News Live for more context and analysis of the day's top stories. Thanks so much for streaming with us. Coming up in the next hour, a college football player's tribute to his brother, killed in the New Orleans terror attack 1 month ago. But first, the new questions about Elon Musk's role. How much access and authority does he have?
David Muir, ABC's World News Tonight, the most watched newscast in America, and honored with the Emmy Award, winner for Outstanding Live News Program. More Americans watch World News Tonight with David Muir than any other newscast.
People do not know how to date. That's why they come to us.
As a matchmaker, we're here to help you get your wings on.
Let's get some people married. Why are you single?
Maybe the kind of guys that I go for.
You go for hot guys.
Yeah.
It's a pitfall.
What would you say are like the top things you're looking for?
You don't like hairy men, so all Muslims are out. What are you talking about?
This process doesn't have to suck. He's cute.
Make it happen, boo.
All we want is to find our way home.
I'll get you home. But a crew of murderous bounty hunters is coming after us. We have to move fast.
We have no idea who he is.
You can trust me.
You're a Jedi, right?
Of course.
What just happened?
Watch this.
Skeleton Crew, new episodes Tuesdays, only on Disney+.
The news never stops. We are here in Israel, a nation at war.
We heard what appeared to be gunfire. The former president rushed off the stage.
Hurricane Helene ravaging the coastline of Florida.
It's moving really fast, screaming across the state.
And that's why ABC News Live never stops.
Taking you to the center of the story.
As news breaks live.
We hear the small arms fire around us. We're right on the border between Ukraine and Russia.
ABC News Live is there for you at the start of your day all morning live.
ABC News Live, right there, as events unfold across the day. ABC News Live, breaking down the day's top stories.
Lyle and Eric Menendez, there is new evidence in this case.
ABC News Live Prime going there, wherever the story is.
Are you going to build it back up? And ABC News Live, lighting up the weekends.
With breaking news and all the latest pop headlines.
Happy Oscars Sunday.
A lot to watch for tonight.
ABC News Live.
Because the news never stops.
GMA this week. The doctor's in, and we're talking heart health. From the 5 key numbers you really need to know now to the one test that could save your life and the symptoms every woman needs to be aware of. This week, this vital GMA heart health alert is for you.
Reporting from the West Bank, I'm Tom Soupy Burridge. Wherever the story is, we'll take you there. You're streaming ABC News Live.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Linsey Davis. Thanks so much for streaming with us tonight. We're tracking those last-minute deals with our allies, Mexico and Canada, to temporarily avert a costly trade war that was set to begin at midnight. But we do begin with the dramatic scenes playing out in government buildings. Federal workers being denied access to their desks as Elon Musk and his Doge team are making their presence felt. Musk getting access to the Treasury's payment system as the richest man in the world is taking concrete steps to eliminate a major federal agency established by Congress, USAID. The agency provides life-saving treatments across the world and has exemplified America's soft power for decades. Today, employees who showed up to work were turned away. A senior official at USAID called it a mafia-like takeover. Tonight, Democrats are calling it an unconstitutional crisis. Abroad contractors who work for USAID tell us they are stuck. One told ABC News they have been removed from U.S. Embassy safety and security systems. Meanwhile, Secretary of State Marco Rubio has been put temporarily in charge. The agency's chief of staff resigned just days after Trump appointed him. Our chief Washington correspondent, Jonathan Karl, leads us off from Washington.
Tonight, backlash after Elon Musk seized control of USAID, the agency that provides U.S. humanitarian assistance around the world, locking out employees, essentially shutting it down. It's Musk's first major move to slash government spending.
As we dug into USAID, it became apparent that what we have here is not an apple with a worm in it, but we have actually just a bowl of worms.
USAID's $43 billion budget is a tiny fraction of what the government spends, about 1%. But its support is a critical lifeline for people in need around the world, helping an estimated 32 million children suffering malnutrition and bringing food, water, shelter, and health care to victims of natural disasters. But Musk, the world's richest man, says the agency is hopeless, posting on X, quote, "We spent the weekend feeding USAID into the wood chipper." This comes as sources tell ABC News Musk's team at the Department of Government Efficiency, known as DOGE, now has access to the Treasury Department's payment system. This is essentially the government's checkbook. It processes trillions of dollars in payments and includes the personal information of hundreds of millions of Americans.
Mr. President, why is it important for Elon Musk to have access to the payment systems at Treasury?
Well, he's got access only to letting people go that he thinks are no good if we agree with him, and it's only if we agree with him. He's a very talented guy from the standpoint of management and costs.
Democrats are outraged.
An unelected, unaccountable billionaire with expansive conflicts of interest, deep ties to China, and an indiscreet axe to grind against perceived enemies is hijacking our nation's most sensitive financial data systems and its checkbook.
But Elon Musk's influence is sweeping throughout the administration. It was late last week that the Doge team showed up at USAID offices in Washington and demanded access. USAID employee Christina Dry described the scene.
Doge was in the building. We took down our pride flags. I took out any books I felt would be incriminating. No one was talking. We heard they started taking transcripts automatically of all of our Google Meets. They unplugged the news in the little kitchen galleys. It didn't feel good. And then Saturday, all of the websites went down, and then I lost complete access to my computer.
And this morning, all the agency's employees received a notice telling them not to come to work today. Now, what is left of USAID is going to be folded into the State Department under the direction of the new Secretary of State, Marco Rubio.
Jonathan Karl reporting. And we're learning federal employees are receiving more resignation offers via email. It contains a version of the same one sent out last week, but multiple workers tell ABC News there's one major addition. The contract states that by signing, the employee permanently waives the right to take legal action against the agency. The guidance appears to try to head off potential lawsuits against the government for employment offers that critics describe as vague. Now to the temporary reprieve to that tariff war with two of our closest allies. President Trump put those 25% tariffs on hold after phone calls today with Canada's prime minister and Mexico's president. What did both countries agree to? Our Rachel Scott reports.
Tonight, after feverish last-minute talks, a truce in the looming trade war. Late tonight, after two phone calls with Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, President Trump announcing the hefty 25% tariffs he threatened are now on pause, just hours before they were scheduled to go into effect. It came after a morning call with the president of Mexico, when Trump agreed to pause tariffs on that country's goods as well for 30 days. Trump's threats had sent markets tumbling overnight and into the morning, as economists warned the tariffs would send prices soaring for American consumers on everything from groceries to cars to electronics.
I'm not concerned. We may have short-term a little pain, and people understand that. But long-term, the United States has been ripped off by virtually every country in the world.
Both countries had vowed to retaliate. In Canada, American sports teams booed during the national anthem. Canadian liquor stores taking American whiskey off the shelves. The Wall Street Journal editorial page calling it, quote, the dumbest trade war in history. Overnight, Dow futures down hundreds of points.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, guys. I don't know. Thank you, guys. How is the market doing?
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, guys. Let's go. I did? I don't know. I don't think about it.
Hours earlier, Trump cut that deal with Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum. Mexico will now send 10,000 troops to the border to help tackle illegal immigration and to prevent fentanyl from flowing into the U.S.
Did you blink this morning?
There was no blinking. No, she's a wonderful woman, but she did agree to 10,000 soldiers on the border. I would say that's a lot. Would you say that's pretty good?
Negotiations with Canada took a little longer.
Canada is very tough. They're very, very tough to do business with.
But tonight, Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau saying they have reached an agreement that in addition to Canada implementing its existing $1.3 billion border plan, Canada will appoint a new fentanyl czar, list cartels as terrorists, and launch a Canada-U.S. joint strike force to combat organized crime, fentanyl, and money laundering.
Our thanks to Rachel Scott. New developments tonight in those back-to-back deadly plane crashes. The chilling image here of the fuselage of that American Airlines plane being pulled from the Potomac. Meanwhile, in Philadelphia, the black box from that medical transport jet was found inside a crater 8 feet deep. 7 people were killed there, and among the injured, a boy with metal from the plane lodged in his head. ABC's Gio Benitez covers aviation for us.
Tonight, the extraordinary scene, the fuselage of that American Airlines flight pulled out of the Potomac River, the cabin in shreds, the crash with that Black Hawk killing 67 people. So far, 55 of their bodies have been identified. The medical examiner now working to identify additional remains recovered today.
It is my belief that we're going to recover everyone.
Dozens of the victims' families gathering yesterday for a solemn memorial on the runway at Reagan National Airport. Now tonight, the question, was there a discrepancy in the tower radar seen by air traffic control, which may have shown the helicopter at 200 feet?
Initial data indicates that he may have seen 200 feet. That needs to be verified.
200 and below is where the helicopter should have been, but some of the most trusted location data shows the crash happening at just over 300 feet. The NTSB also evaluating the jet's flight data and cockpit voice recorders. And overnight in Philadelphia, investigators locating the black box of the medical transport jet that plunged to the ground, killing 7. The voice recorder found 8 feet deep inside that crater.
If you look at the impact and how deep that crater is, it was a very steep angle at which that aircraft came down.
Data from Flight Radar 24 shows the Medevac Learjet en route to Mexico was in the air for under a minute before the crash. All 6 people on board that jet killed, including a mom and her 11-year-old daughter who had just received medical care at nearby Shriners Children's Hospital. Another killed in a car on the ground. At least 24 people injured, among them 10-year-old Trey Howard, his father describing the harrowing scene to our Stephanie Ramos.
We're turning to Cotman Avenue and we just hear a loud bang and then a ball of fire. I turn around, he has metal out the side of his head.
Trey then rushed to the hospital where he underwent emergency brain surgery. He's now in recovery.
Glad to know he is recovering at this hour. Thanks to Gio. And a frightening scene in a New Mexico courtroom today. A murder suspect was standing before a judge when the uncle of his alleged victim lunged for him. A brawl then ensued. Here's ABC's Mo Langi.
The video shows Alexander Ortiz in the orange jumpsuit, accused of killing his ex-girlfriend, Aliana Farfan, standing before a district judge in Albuquerque when Farfan's uncle, Carlos Lucero, barrels over the partition, along with another man, Pete Yasasi, attacking Ortiz. The defendant's father joining the melee until, finally, the corrections officer trying to shield the defendant draws their taser. Heavily armed deputies storming the courtroom, arresting the attackers a full minute after the attack began. The men were treated at the hospital and released. They're due back in court next month. According to court documents, after the attack, Lucero told deputies it was worth every moment, and he killed my niece like a coward. The incident raising questions about courtroom security and reminiscent of this moment in a Las Vegas courtroom last year, when a man flew over the bench and attacked a judge. That man was sentenced to decades in prison.
Our thanks to Mola. 1 month after the tragic New Orleans terror attack, a college football player honored his late brother, one of the 14 people whose lives were tragically cut short on New Year's Day. Ariel Reshef has this story.
When Jack Bech scored the game-winning touchdown in the Senior Bowl, he had one person in mind.
Jack Bech has his Mobile moment.
His older brother Tiger, who was killed in the New Orleans terror attack on New Year's Day.
Man, it's simple. My brother has some wings on me. He gave them to me, and he let that all take place.
Tiger was a kick returner for Princeton. He was one of 14 people who died after a man intentionally drove a truck into a crowd on Bourbon Street. On Saturday, exactly 1 month since tragedy struck the Bech family, Jack switched his jersey to wear Tiger's number 7 during the big game.
Last shot.
Catching that winning touchdown just as time expired.
On the move. Look yes. Got it.
He's been my role model my whole life, the person I looked up to, the person I wanted to be. You know, he was the best big brother I could ever ask for.
After the game, Bech was selected MVP.
Ariel Reshef reporting. Still much more to get to as we mark the start of Black History Month. How much does the American history we celebrate in public spaces actually reflect the country's true story? We talk with a professor who studied our monuments and museums. But next, the trial over the controversial kiss seen around the world is getting underway.
The news never stops.
From Tampa, we are here tonight as Hurricane Milton has just made landfall.
The surge just keeps coming up.
Right on the border between Ukraine and Russia.
We're in an artillery position about 2 miles away from Gaza.
And ABC News Live is right there everywhere.
We're not far from where this rally took place, so just stick with us here.
Traveling with the president to the U.S.-Mexico border.
Here in London today.
Off the coast of Gaza.
Downtown Tel Aviv, rockets or missiles coming in.
From the most devastating disaster in Hawaii. Some areas are still smoldering.
Wherever the story.
From the front lines.
The ruins of Rafah.
From the FBI.
Reporting from Capitol Hill.
In western Portugal.
Outside of Mexico City.
In Iceland. Let's go.
Here in France.
The eclipse across America.
Just stunning.
Unbelievable.
Streaming live to you.
Wherever the story is.
Wherever the story is.
We're going to take you there. You're streaming ABC News Live.
ABC News Live.
You're streaming ABC News Live.
ABC News Live. Streaming free everywhere because the news never stops.
People do not know how to date. That's why they come to us.
As a matchmaker, we're here to help you get your wings on.
Let's get some people married. Why are you single? Maybe the kind of guys that I go for. You go for hot guys.
Yeah.
It's a pitfall.
What would you say are like the top things you're looking for?
You don't like hairy men, so all Muslims are out. What are you talking about?
This process doesn't have to suck. He's cute.
Make it happen, boo.
It was a kidnapping, torture case.
A crime of greed and cruelty.
The men tortured the victim by beating, tasing, and burning him.
And this is where it gets really horrible. The guy was cutting off my roommates. It was like a bad dream.
This crime was horrific.
He's a psychopath.
How could you possibly defend somebody like that?
This was a story about greed, sadism, evil.
Wicked Game, Devil in the Desert, only on Hulu.
I'm Ian Panel in Tel Aviv, where people are celebrating the return of the hostages. At least some are now on their way home. You're streaming ABC News Live.
Welcome back. We're tracking several headlines around the world. In Madrid, the sexual assault trial of the former coach of Spain's women's national soccer team is now underway. That team won the World Cup in 2023. Afterwards, coach Luis Rubiales kissed player Jenny Hermoso. He claims it was consensual. She says it was not. Rubiales takes the stand next week and faces more than a year in prison if convicted. Donald Trump, in a Sunday social media post, said he'll be cutting off all future funding to South Africa. Last month, in an effort to right some of the wrongs committed during South Africa's apartheid era, the country's president signed a law allowing the government to take private land if it promoted, quote, inclusivity and access to natural resources. Rwanda-backed rebels who've seized a key city in eastern Congo announced a unilateral ceasefire today, they say for humanitarian reasons. The United Nations says at least 900 people were killed in fighting last week that trapped hundreds of thousands of displaced people. That ceasefire might now provide those people with a means to escape. Protests following the killing of George Floyd in 2020 sparked a cultural reckoning of sorts in the United States. Change in some cities and towns meant better policing practices and Confederate statues being torn down. February is, of course, Black History Month. And Irvin Weathersby Jr., a writer and professor from New Orleans who teaches at Queensborough Community College and the City College of New York, has written a new book, In Open Contempt, Confronting White Supremacy in Art and Public Space. That is part memoir and part reflection on how our creation myths as Americans often stand in opposition to our nation's true history. Irvin Weathersby Jr., welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming on. First of all, let's just start with the title there, In Open Contempt. What does that mean?
So I got this title from a Frederick Douglass autobiography. So it really tries to encapsulate that feeling of what it means to be a Black American. And so when Frederick Douglass first understood that he was enslaved was a very pivotal moment in his life. He was very young, and this was the moment when he was about to be sold on an auction block. And there's the moment in his autobiography when he's reflecting upon that realization, and he says, how are we reduced, held in open contempt of our humanity, and reduced to beasts like cattle and swine.
You go further, confronting white supremacy in art and public space. And throughout the book, you talk about visiting different monuments, museums, Mount Rushmore, for example. How do you decide which ones kind of pass the mustard and don't?
You know, that's a really good question. There's a lot of places that didn't make the cut, a lot of places that I wanted to kind of include. Ultimately, you know, I got with my editor and we figured out, like, hey, these are the moments that resonate the most. But I wanted to focus primarily on New Orleans because that's how I inject my own story. That's how I really kind of think about the story of America as told through New Orleans, as told through me.
You mentioned New Orleans, of course, your hometown, really at one point the epicenter of the slave trade. In what ways would you say there are successes in New Orleans and also failures with regard to some of these open spaces? Yeah, you know, so the book opens in a space that was formerly titled Jeff Davis Parkway. The city has now decided to change that since I wrote the book. But when I started it in 2017, and I'm engaging with white supremacists who are huddled around this statue, this bust to the first Confederate soldier who was killed in the war, I'm there and I'm on this street, I'm engaging with them, but years later, now that street is named after Norman C. Francis, who is the longtime president of Xavier University. So there's moments like that where streets have been changed, there's monuments that have come down, they've been renamed, there's spaces that we are seeing that are moving forward, but there's still a lot more to go. So New Orleans is only a microcosm of what change could look like, but then we still have some steps ahead of us. With regard to some of those statues coming down in your epilogue, you write, across the country, change has come. And I'm wondering now, when you fast forward to just the first weeks of the new administration, rolling back DEI, for example, do you still feel that change is coming in a similar fashion in which you initially intended it?
You know, unfortunately, no. I think there's a clear moment of retrenchment that we're facing right now. And with DEI rolling back, there's so many different directives and executive orders that are seeking to actually erase what we've done here in this country. And I think that is going to be an issue. And I think this is what this book is about, right? And so if I can give you a quote from James Baldwin, not everything that is faced can be changed, but nothing can be changed until it's faced. And I think what's happening in this country is that we need to face ourselves. We need to look at each other in the mirror and say, is this what we are going to become? Do we really want to be controlled by oligarchs? Do we really want to prop up white men as the only position of power in this country?
Irvin Weathersby Jr., we thank you so much for your time. His book, In Open Contempt, Confronting White Supremacy in Art and Public Space, is available right now. If you happen to miss last night's Grammys, we'll get you up to speed on who won. We'll have to wait until next year, and the performances everyone's talking about. Stay with us.
This family is suffocated. We are all here to help them. We're going to make this happen. We have 96 hours to build a house.
Come on, guys, it's moving day. Let's go. It can't be real.
This was more than just Extreme Home Makeover. This was Extreme Life Makeover.
Extreme Makeover Home Edition, Thursday on ABC and stream on Hulu.
The news never stops. We are here in Israel, a nation at war.
We appeared to be gunfire. The former president rushed off the stage.
Hurricane Helene ravaging the coastline of Florida.
It's moving really fast, screaming across the state.
And that's why ABC News Live never stops.
Taking you to the center of the story.
As news breaks live.
We hear the small arms fire around us. We're right on the border between Ukraine and Russia.
ABC News Live is there for you at the start of your day, all morning live.
ABC News Live, right there, as events unfold across the day. ABC News Live, breaking down the day's top stories.
Lyle and Eric Menendez, there is new evidence in this case.
ABC News Live Prime going there, wherever the story is.
Are you going to build it back up?
And ABC News Live lighting up the weekends.
With breaking news and all the latest pop headlines.
Happy Oscars Sunday.
A lot to watch for tonight.
ABC News Live.
Because the news never stops.
It was a kidnapping, torture case.
A crime of greed and cruelty.
The men tortured the victim by beating, tasing, and burning him.
And this is where it gets really horrible. The guy was cutting off my roommates. It was like a bad dream.
This crime was horrific.
He's a psychopath.
How could you possibly defend somebody like that?
This was a story about greed, sadism, evil.
Wicked Game, Devil in the Desert, only on Hulu.
Now to music's golden night, and what a night it was for the Grammys, celebrating the city of Los Angeles and packed with incredible performances. ABC's Janae Norman has the biggest moments.
A couple of firsts for the Queen herself.
The Grammy goes to Cowboy Carter.
Beyonce finally taking home the award that has eluded her entire career, Album of the Year.
I just feel very full and very honored. It's been many, many years. And I just want to thank the Grammys, every songwriter, every collaborator, every producer, all of the hard work.
Cowboy Carter. Seemingly stunned when Cowboy Carter also took home Country Album of the Year, becoming the first Black artist to win that prize.
I think sometimes genre is a cold word to keep us in our place as artists.
Look at that mountain. Look at those trees. Look at this city getting back up off its knees.
The night filled with poignant performances, artists coming together to support a Los Angeles ravaged by wildfire. Billie Eilish and her brother Phineas kicking off the night, paying homage to their hometown.
I love you, LA, when they act this way. When they act.
And Sabrina Carpenter giving her comedic skills a shot of espresso. The The short and sweet singer winning big with Best Pop Vocal Album of the Year.
I'm still out of breath from the performance.
Was it time to wake them up because they been sleeping on the track list? Body's so attractive, y'all be getting catfish.
Doechii leaving the room breathless with a powerhouse performance and becoming just the third woman ever to win Best Rap Album for Alligator Bites Never Heal, joining Lauryn Hill and Cardi B.
I know that there is some black girl out there, so many black women out there that are watching me right now, and I want to tell you, you can do it. Anything is possible. Sing it!
I'm just having fun on the stage in my heels. It's where I belong.
And the Midwest princess, Chappell Roan, bringing the Pink Pony Club to music's biggest night. And she kept on dancing, winning the award for Best New Artist, calling out music execs and advocating for small artists.
Record labels need to treat their artists as valuable employees with a livable wage and health insurance and protection. Labels, we got you, but do you got us?
And it was a loving tribute to music icon Quincy Jones, Cynthia Erivo joining forces with Herbie Hancock. Stevie Wonder leading the room in a rendition of We Are the World.
We are the world. We are the children. We are the ones who make a brighter day. So let's start giving.
And the biggest ovation of the night went to the California firefighters.
I am confident that we will recover and rebuild together because we are LA Strong.
And it was the West Side's own Kendrick Lamar who won big with the most statues for the night.
Not like us, Kendrick Lamar. Kendrick Lamar.
The rapper taking time out of his Super Bowl halftime rehearsals, nabbing record and song of the year for the song that was everywhere last year. They Not Like Us. They Not Like Us.
I can't give enough thanks, to these places that I rode around since high school, and most importantly, the people and the families out in the Palisades and Altadena. This is a true testament that we're going to continue to restore this city.
Our thanks to Janae for that. And that is our show for this hour. I'm Linsey Davis. Be sure to stay tuned to ABC News Live for more context and analysis of the day's top stories. Thanks so much for streaming with us. Have a great night.
Wherever news breaks, it's so important to always remember that lives are changed. Here in London, in